All right, welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, we have 52 participants on the line. And as you know, when we do these calls, we are always shooting for at least 100 people. So please reach out to your teammates and let them know that we are going to have a phenomenal, great, magnificent speaker today. And that is none other than Bill Predebon. Now, if you haven't heard Bill's introduction before getting started with Renatus, let's reverse about 10 years ago. He was a pro skier in Vail, Colorado, and realized that he wasn't qualified to do much else and felt unemployable. Around that time, he got into the franchise industry, but due to a lack of knowledge, it ended up costing him his business and he lost everything. Then in 2007, he had just recently heard about real estate investing, didn't have the education, but was ambitious and tried on his own and ended up getting upside down over $400,000 during the crash in 2008. But these obstacles did not hold Bill back. He found Renatus shortly afterwards, and in his first year alone, made 8 times more than he had in his previous year. Ever since then, if we fast forward to today, Bill has now done over 130 deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He's a PIT team member. He's a marketing leader. And we're very fortunate to have Bill as our trainer today. So without further delay, I'd like to bring Mr. Bill Predebon on the line. Good morning, Bill. How's your day going today?
Hey, buddy. Can you hear me okay, or do I need to redo it?
No, actually, this time we can hear you perfectly fine.
That's awesome. It's a crapshoot, I guess. Hey, man, thanks for that awesome introduction. I'm doing well this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome, man. Once again, thanks for putting these together. It's always good to hear Bob and his generally speaking. In fact, I get to see it more now than I do, when I watch the back office. So that's cool. I appreciate you doing this, putting it all together, leading these calls, getting people motivated to get on them. And that's awesome, man. Thanks. Right on. We are going to kick it off. I don't know if you want to, you got the recording going. Yeah, perfect. Cool. I think I got video up, so that makes it a little bit better for everybody to get to know each other. Remember, guys and gals, thanks for being here. This is 100%, in my opinion, about you and where you're at. I mean, you're the one taking the time out to be on this call for some value. So, I know that all of us want to bring as much value to you guys as possible and not waste your time. So if there's anything that you want to discuss or maybe something over the last 10 years or so that I have experienced might be able to help you in what you're going through now with your business, then just chat it up. You can put it in the chat or come off mute. You can interrupt me. I don't care. It's totally cool. It's a pretty good platform, so you can definitely try to utilize it as an open mastermind for sure. Awesome. So I was kind of thinking about this. I got a few stories I want to share with you to kind of highlight or enlighten you on some of the topics I'll talk about. I try to remember who's on the call, right? Obviously knowing your audience is important. And so, I've been doing this probably longer than most of you as far as real estate goes. Maybe some of you obviously were doing real estate before you found Renatus, but as far as with Renatus, I've been doing this a while. So it's hard. We've got to remember that, when Michael gets on the call, he's been doing this 8 years. Yesterday he talked a little bit about his goals. I think, these calls are so powerful. I don't care who's doing the training. It's just amazing. But he's like, he was going to do $70,000, and then he ended up doing $3,000. And, he just really didn't know any way how to do 70. So he just threw that number out there, and it made sense why he didn't hit that goal. So it's a great training. He's been doing this a while, so you hear about his numbers, number one income earner and things like that, and the experience and the growth that he's had. He has to remember too, he went back to the basics, started talking about the 4 money-making activities, and he hammered it 50 times yesterday. So, for those of us, in my opinion, some of the things I'm going to go over, if you're 5-star already and you're building a team, a lot of this stuff might relate to your new team members, right? The people that are brand new. If you've had some success, you've been making some sales and things like that, then that's how this can apply to you, as well as just thinking back to the basics. And then for those of you who are, a lot of times brand new, welcome. Maybe it's your first or second call. Welcome to the call. Glad to be here. And then maybe some of this will relate to you immediately. I'm going to start off with this. So when I was in London and Paris last month, the end of the end of April, I did not work out, but I think I worked out once. And I usually work out 5 or 6 days a week. And so I literally, you guys, gained like 5 pounds. And it's not a big deal. But even Dr. Gary, he's like, "Are you gaining weight?" So he's our pack member here in Arizona, and I see him every week, several times a week. And so it's interesting because I haven't run in a while. I lift a lot, and I usually work out and run 10 minutes before my workout, but I've been trying to do more cardio later on, but I haven't done it. And we've got Leaders Retreat coming up. It's summer coming up and stuff like that, and I just noticed I got a few extra pounds literally in my stomach that I don't normally have. And so I'm like, I got to start. I'm going to run. My dog, one of my dogs has just a crap ton of energy. And so I walk him every day, and I usually try to walk him at night, but she needs more exercise the rest of the day. She sits around. She's mama's girl. And my wife works from home as well. Where did you say the best place to market the education is? By 3-foot rule. Okay, here we go. Laugh out loud. Thanks, Keely. Where would you say the best place to market the education is by 3-foot rule? Brianna, I would say anywhere. Now, that's the easiest answer. So in my opinion, it would be in a professional setting. And the reason I say that would be, there's going to be a bartender or a realtor, not a realtor, a bartender or a waitress, steward, air flight attendant, someone that strikes you as just really outgoing, ambitious, social, very good at selling themselves, like Bob was just talking about. So naturally that person, you might want a 3-foot rule, but, for the most part, if you were going to spend your time doing 3-foot rule, you guys, and let's just say you're at work and you go to Starbucks for a Starbucks run, or you go to, maybe something with your car and you're getting your car serviced, or you're bringing your car into the shop and then you're getting a loaner car or something like that, and you just look at who you're talking to. Like if you take Starbucks, for example, if someone's sitting down doing some work and they look like they're working from home, obviously they're not home, but then I totally think that would be the place to 3-foot rule someone. You're kind of, judging a book by its cover and trying to get 8s, 9s, and 10s. You want people that are ready, able, and willing. So, by judging them, they're able. When you have a really, really experienced or a really, really hot prospect, from a fast food shop or something where you're getting food and everything, or a waiter or waitress or something like that, someone serving you, obviously they're ready. They're really willing. They've got that ambition and all that, but they might not be able by the means, right? So you want to think about it, where you're spending your time. But again, everybody needs Renatus. So it doesn't matter who you speak with at the end of the day. Just the more people you can put in front of the information, the better off you are. So that's what I say about 3-foot rule. And you're right, millionaires have to shop too. But if you're at the 5 and dime store or whatever, dollar store, You know, you may not have, you might have the millionaire next door, but, you know, odds are they're a millionaire next door because they read The Millionaire Next Door and they haven't bought a new car in 10 years and they did it that way. But if if you're out at the mall and, or a car dealership or something like that, then you might find somebody who's more of an entrepreneur or millionaire. I don't know if that makes sense. Again, I'm judging. Good question. Totally, Keely. Yeah. Anytime you have something in common, Keely says, and that's just natural. And that's a great comment. Anytime you have something in common that you can break the ice with, that you can bridge the gap, that you can open up the conversation and build rapport, naturally, that's going to help you in prospecting and the 3-foot rule. But remember, the 3-foot rule is simply, gathering information so you can build that rapport later. And then if you have that commonality, walking dogs, if you remember Michael telling that story about walking dogs with his, at the dog park and stuff like that, it's a great way to do 3-foot rule. So you're absolutely right. In fact, one of the guys I just enrolled, a good friend of mine now, who's a very good friend, as well as one of my realtors, as well as one of our, he's really become a staple in the community, was from the gym. So Lee says, with the new compliance issues, how was your Craigslist strategy changed? 100%, Lee. You guys, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I have absolutely had to reinvent my lead source. I was thinking about that today, you guys. I have not done Craigslist in 4 months, 5 months, and my team did Craigslist. So I would do follow-up calls with my team, one-on-one, book appointments, and things like that. That was my cold market lead source. And so with that lead source, it's gone. So I don't have it. So I'm thinking about street signs. But what I've done is, to be honest, Lee, is I have moved towards marketing on Facebook. I paid for Rob Sperry's marketing strategy. He's going to be teaching a class coming up, so that's really cool for us. I'm working on an Instagram account, and which I've had one, I guess. I've just never used it. And so I'm also doing some strategic marketing through my title company, and I'm reaching out to warm market. I'm going to tell a story on that. I'm literally going to warm market, and the most important thing to me is I have to lead by example with direct sales, as you guys all know, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But my team, I'm constantly reaching out to you, as you know, Lee, and we're trying to always, I'm trying to always talk to my team, because that's another 50% of my sales and growing my team and my real estate. Can you please share how you're using your title company? Absolutely, I will share. Now, we have to be a little creative on this, right? Because not everybody has the same story I have yet. And I say yet specifically to you because, it was interesting. In 2009, I met this guy, and he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna try to use my title company to bring buyers that want to buy turnkey properties," because our model was, so I was flipping houses and he found me, and he's kind of a project manager, no money, no education, didn't really want to spend money on education, but he was a hustler. I think this is so invaluable, you guys asking these questions, so important, and it reminds me of stuff. And I'm going to get to my notes too. We've got time. So this guy says, "Hey, why don't you go to the title company?" So here's the deal. I'm raising money and I'm flipping houses. And I got educated through Renatus, or back in the old company. So he knew that, and he knew, and he met me through flipping houses, and he'd heard about me. So he was kind of like, I don't know, using my credibility, if you will, in a way, but he knew the title company. And so he set up this meeting up at the title company through the marketing manager. That's who you want to go through, the marketing manager of that division of the title company or that branch, right? And our model was, I would fix the house. I would find it, buy it, fund it, flip it. A lot of times he would find it too, but finding deals back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, they were everywhere. You just couldn't find buyers. That's why we were marketing for buyers that were qualified and wanted to do real estate, because the market was upside down and the economy was in a recession. So we went to the title company and he set this thing up, and we got up there in front. He pretty much did the talking and, talked about our model, which was, hey, I'm going to tenant this house. I'm going to get everybody in there. We're going to get the rents. We're going to set the leases and all this stuff. And then we're going to turn over these houses that are rentable with tenants in them, all fixed up, ready to go for you to buy them as an investor, and they're turnkey. And my job was to get it up, fund it, fix it, flip it to the buyer, and we were working together. And he would get the project manager fee and stuff like that, the way we worked it out. So, and a lot of times we'd sell without agents because we found these people, or the agent that was in the title company would bring their investor buyer. And that's what we were marketing to. So we didn't have to pay a listing fee. We only had to pay a buyer's agent fee. And so I met my title gal back then, 2009. And I'm still with her today at that title meeting, that first event we did. So I called them up and I said, and I've thought about this for years, never done it. I've never had the time or taken the time, just whatever excuse I've come up with. So I called up the title company. I called up my marketing managing girl. She's awesome. She's the one who gives me all my free swag and does marketing for when we do open houses for our flips. She does hundreds of mailers, postcards, everything. They pay for everything, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to market. She's setting up a date in 2 weeks. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks. I'm going to market this first one to agents who want to learn how to work with investors better, right? I'm an investor. I know how I work with my agents. Maybe I can help agents understand how investors work and understand, what type of offers we make and why we make those offers versus And see, here's the thing is you can do this even though you haven't done real estate, but I'm going to teach them what it means to make an offer. That's not a lowball offer. It's an educated offer, right? I'm going to go through my formula and I'm going to explain it. But my pitch is going to be, perhaps you too as an agent want to learn how to do real estate as well and how to be an investor on the side. And so I'm going to collect information. I'm going to get everybody's information. And then now they're going to know me. I'm going to bring some value for an hour. She'll provide a little snack and some coffee and stuff. And then I'm going to have all these agents' information. Then I'm going to do one for loan officers, right? And then I'm going to do, another one for agents on a different topic. Perhaps it's how to buy your first rental when you can't get the listing because there's not enough equity in the property. So what do they normally do? Turn it over to a loan officer for a refi. They call the client, tell them to come back later. There's nothing they can do. There's not enough money in the deal to make it. The seller still wants to sell, but they can't make a commission or whatever the case is. They have to reduce it. It's not in good enough shape, and it's not a good listing. So I'm going to teach on how they could take advantage of that and own that property themselves through sub-2 owner financing, some sort of wrap, right? I'm going to give them a couple of extra. I'm not going to teach the strategy, but I'm going to enlighten them with it, right? And then I'm going to gather information and say, hey, if you want to know a little bit more about this, how you could do it, you can meet with me one-on-one. Then I'm going to invite them to the meeting, right? So it's a baby step before the meeting. I'm not going to do the Renatus presentation. I'm not going to mention Renatus or any of that stuff. I'm just collecting information. These are going to be little 1-hour sessions. So that's what I'm doing with my title company. And this is why I say you're going to have to be creative on it and you're going to have to develop something, but you don't have to have the experience. Naturally, I'm going to use my experience and credibility and attack it that way, obviously. So it may be, carry a little bit more weight, but if knowledge is far more powerful than experience, right? If you really think about it, when you're doing a presentation, some of the best presenters in the country don't do what they're preaching, right? They're salespeople. They're not doers. They're not practitioners. So you have the knowledge from the education, and you take good notes. You watch the education, and you could give bits and pieces share your knowledge on velocity banking or something, and do a training and here's the thing is, the title company is going to set it up. They're going to bring the space. You don't pay for anything, nothing. You're bringing value, and these folks come, and they're short because they're busy. They don't have time to leave their office for 3 hours. You know, they have enough CEUs that they have to go to, so they don't have time for that. This is going to be a nice short little hour thing, and you look like a hero. And then people, you're the authority figure, and there you have it. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing starting next week, first week of June, to increase my 3-foot rule, which will now become warm market, because of compliance and because of Craigslist. So, and to be honest, it's a better way to go. I don't have to worry about compliance as much because they will be warm market and things like that. And, I still have to worry about compliance. I mean, I don't have to worry about what says on my street sign and all that kind of stuff. And I think that it's going to weed people out faster than a Craigslist ad. Okay, so great question. I hope that helped. If you need any more information. Oh, you know what I always forget, or not always forget? I always do 760-533-3141. That is my personal cell phone number, 760-533-3141. Obviously, it's recorded if you're not taking notes and you're driving, but it's in the chat if you want. So, if you need more information on that. Now, what I was saying, you guys, as Keely laughed at, is I decided I was going to run. We got Panama coming up, summer coming up, and I can run. I can take off 10 pounds pretty quickly. And my dog needs more exercise. So I've been talking about this in my head for 2 weeks. I've been back from London. And finally last night, I got up enough courage to go run. And, what's funny is I think about, I thought about my legs will be sore the next day. When I run, I usually push myself. So then I'm going to run really hard and I'm going to be out of breath. And it's dark, and it's been kind of chilly at night and in the morning here in Arizona. It's been absolutely phenomenal weather. You guys, you can't even imagine. It's like the Indian summer on the Midwest where everything stays warm longer. In the fall, it comes back and this is like the Indian spring. It's really nice, man. It's just so beautiful right now. We're in Arizona. We're just in probably Las Vegas where we don't want it to warm up at all. We want to keep this weather as long as possible. So, I put a long sleeve shirt on, running shirt last night, in fact, and went out and ran. But at the end of the day, the whole point to this is that it's not nearly half as bad as I thought. And it goes back right to this. Like when we market, we fall off the wagon. We get busy. We have some discouragement. We have 5, 6, 8, 10 guests come to the meeting, or we make a bunch of calls. Nobody comes. We don't get that result that we wanted. So we take some time off of it. And then we make up excuses why we don't get back to doing it. And this is the same way, but by the time I was done running, even the minute I got out there, you guys, I was like, oh, so awesome. You know what I mean? I felt good. It wasn't like hard on my body because I've been going to the gym anyway. It's the same thing, you guys. We're working our mind. You guys are in these trainings. You're going to meetings and stuff like that, and you might not be inviting as much as you want. But honestly, the minute you get back on the phones, the minute you reach out to your warm market, we're going to talk about that. It's so easy. And I don't mean it's easy like, oh, you can just make money. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as we put it in our heads. And I can't wait to run again. I'm going to run every week, every night for 5 days a week, probably for 3 miles, give or take. And I'm just going to get back to running so I can lean out. And I just love it. And my dog loved it. And she slept like a baby last night. And there's always benefit to it. And it's the same thing with getting on the phones, and getting back into it or getting into it in the first place. We think about it. So you guys get the point. It's just really cool. So I just wanted to, that just reminded me of that. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about another couple stories that are really going to pertain to doing this. So remember, if you guys got any questions or thoughts, anything that you're working on, anybody specifically you just talked to that didn't work out or they didn't show up or whatever, just bring it out on this forum, and we can discuss it. So I hope that helped with the title company thing, and the 3-foot rule. In fact, the title company thing is going to be like 3-foot rule. It's not about, it's absolutely not about pitching, telling them what you do, inviting them to a meeting or anything like that. It's about collecting information, gathering interest in whatever it is you want to talk about to break the ice, right? So if it's velocity banking or flipping houses or getting involved in investing, in my opinion, bringing up to an agent, whether or not they've come across a property that they can't sell because the margin's too thin to get it on the MLS, or it's not in good enough condition, is such a good strategy. I mean, it immediately brings value to them to come up with a couple ideas, right? And then two, why wouldn't they want to have the skill set and the knowledge and the ability to take over the property themselves? Brian Bettle's an agent. He's on my team. He and I did a deal this last summer, and it was exactly that scenario. I mean, he'd been working with this seller for a year. He also saw an opportunity that there could be potentially a great $25,000 profit in this deal. And her situation was she was getting farther behind on payments. It was still a struggle for her. The timing wasn't right when he was trying to list the house. There wasn't enough margin based on the condition and so on and so forth, just like I said. So he brought up another deal. He's like, well, maybe I can bring in a buyer. We can pay cash, get you, move you on in your life. And then, we'll take care of fixing up the house. And so it was a great subject to deal. And we took over the mortgage and we bought that house out of pocket for $4,500. Took it over subject to. We flipped that house and made 20 grand in 5 months. And, and it was a win-win-win for everybody. The agents can learn how to do that themselves with very little money versus getting a hard money loan, a lot less risk. They could have turned it into, it could have easily been a rental for us too. So I think you guys have the skill set through the education to be able to present that, especially like Michael says, if you go to Toastmasters and stuff. So just a good idea. So here's an example of warm market, you guys, which is Lee, back to your question, what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to pull this up on my phone because I got to remember exactly. So I've been going through my phone literally and looking for people and thinking about people that I have not reached out to in a while. So let's see how far back. This doesn't go that far. So this is a friend of mine who I've known since the old company days, who flipped a few houses back in the crash. He's a painter by trade. In fact, he's pretty skilled in a lot of different ways. And I check in from him from time to time over the last years. It was always just doing jobs for me. And so let's see, right here on, let's see. I go to, this guy's name's Oscar. And I said, hey, can you paint the interior for me on 17th and Greenway? This is a property that I had a painter did not show up. And I said, I also need another job done too. And then I texted him again. I said, hey, I'm looking to get someone to do this done this weekend. Are you interested in a paint job? And then he actually called me, right? And so we talked about the paint job. And then as soon as he got done calling me, I said, hey, if you can make it tonight, I'm hosting a real estate investor forum presentation so you can see the information again at 7 p.m. because I know he's seen it again a long time ago, right? And I told him where it was. And I said, otherwise, I gave him an option. You might be interested in the real estate intensive that we're hosting this weekend. One of the instructors, Matt Sorensen, who lives here in town, is a licensed lawyer, as you know. He's the foremost expert, and I went on to tell him, it's $40, includes lunch. Let me know if you want to dedicate a Saturday to it from 9 till 4:30, or if you just want to come on a Thursday night. And he said, thank you very much. I will let you know today for event and for paint. And he said, I can't do the painting. I'm busy, but Saturday, let's do it. So this is a guy that was this past week. I had the last text I had to him was 2017. Okay. So it had been over almost a year and a half since I reached out to this guy, and I reached out to him, and I had that, like Keely was talking about earlier, that connection. So, but I did that with the paint more because I wanted to ask him to invite him to the meeting. It wasn't because I needed him. I mean, I did need a painter. He ended up, now he's on a job right now, a different job, because I filled that other job because he was busy. But he went to the event. He went to the event on Saturday and fell in love with it again. And I met with him and his wife yesterday on a one-on-one up at the property. And we talked about doing business together. They're coming on next 2 weeks of Thursday when I do the presentation. They're going to be coming, and their daughter's interested in real estate. She was actually painting on the job, so she's coming Thursday night. So I have 3 live warm market guests from using my phone, right? And it's interesting because this is the key, you guys. This is so key. He goes, now, it doesn't always work out, right? These results are not typical, blah, 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 blah. But here's the deal. He goes like this. He goes, Bill, I literally was praying to my wife and to our God that that someone would get me back into real estate, that we need to make money. We want to make money again. They've had success. They actually bought a house, flipped it over 2 years, and made like $60,000 on it over 2 years, flipping this house. And they were ready for another deal. That was their last house. They're moving now into a new place that they bought. And they actually have a few people they have 5 people that want to invest with them because they know they've done 5 successful flips over the last 10 years. And they're like, hey, let's do some flips. The market's good. And so, but they haven't, they're just not there, right? They're afraid of a little bit of fear again. It's been a while. So he said to me, he's like, we were just praying on, that we could reach out to some of the people that are investing. And he's like, I could not find your number. He's like, I got a new phone. I couldn't find your number. And literally the next 2 days later, you texted me about the paint job and coming to Saturday. So the point to that is, you guys, you never know what someone's doing in their life until you reach out to them. And all we think about is the negative. And I don't mean that bad. That's not what we do. A lot of times we have the limiting beliefs. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to put them in something that we haven't made any money on yet. We don't want to embarrass ourselves or have them ask us questions about how it's working for us and all the crap that we hear, right? That's all true. It's going to happen. But what also is true is that these folks have the money to get started. They were waiting for someone to pick up the phone and call them, and they were looking for a sign from God, and they got it. And it's not just them, because Michael mentioned it again, and we talk about this at our presentations. 95% of 65-year-olds want a sign from God by the time they get to 65, and you have that vehicle. But we are selfish and we hold it back. So speaking of selfish, I'm going to go in another one. Thank you, Keely. This is so true, you guys. It's so anything I can help you with, you just let me know, you guys. Just chat it up or come off mute, whatever. So check this out. So I'm talking to my buddy Ben, and Ben is a retail customer of mine. All right, which means, as you guys know, we sell education and financial services to the public. That's what we do. We provide product, and you are a 1099 independent marketing affiliate who is able to, with your contract with Renata, is able to tell people about these services. And then if they choose to buy and enroll in the education services, then you get compensated through an earnings plan provided by Renata's, right? So a retail customer is someone who may not be exposed to the IMA yet, or they just flat out don't want to do it. They have a good job. They have a job they like. They're not interested in marketing. They're not good at sales, whatever limiting beliefs they have. All right. So Ben has been around for a little while. He's actually implemented the velocity banking and a couple different strategies. He's definitely interested in real estate heavily, but his jobs move him around to scheduling. He doesn't make a lot of the events and stuff like that. And I was talking to him, and I said, have you thought about the marketing? You know what I mean? Have you thought about, talking to people about this? I said, it's only a couple of sales. You own the combo. $10,000 can go a long way if you compare that to what you're doing, and you don't need the money as much. You could go to your boss and you could kind of finagle your schedule a little bit so you could spend more time at the events. And all of you know this. Real estate is why we joined this business. We're doing this marketing for a couple different reasons. Whatever your reasons are, but it absolutely, you just heard Bob say it, you know, when you're making an extra 10 grand every month or 2 or 3 or 4, it really can help your real estate business, right? It can feed your real estate habit. And so it can do earnest deposits. It can do subject tos, small takeovers, owner financing. You could put a small down payment on your primary residence if you wanted to, your dream house through a subject to or owner finance. There's a lot of things you can do with this extra 10 grand. So here and there. So I'm talking to him about it. And I said, you know, you could move your schedule around. You could have a little bit more say on what your schedule is, because you're not controlled by the dollars that you have to make and the schedule you have to keep based on what they need, not what you want. And I said, then you could come around more events. You could start to meet more of the community, and your real estate would start to take off a little bit. I think it will complement it. It's not buy the education, go off to by yourself and be a hermit in your house. It's join the community, IMA or not, and spend time at events, getting to network with our network. And that network is organic, and it creates real estate deals the more you plug in, right? And we know that. It's a fact. I mean, follow Scott Rowe, more deals done by more Renata students, baby, right? So this is what he said. And this is for people that are 5-star, or you're brand new, or whatever, or you're working on 5-star. It's going to be for you implemented. If you're 5-star, it's going to account for your people that are getting 5-star, your team, as you're working with them, right? And I love Ben. He's a friend of mine now, and I've heard this 100 times if I've heard it once, right? And he said, you know, I hope I don't screw this up. He said, I just don't see myself, you know, really telling anybody about the opportunity, because you know, really I haven't done anything with it. And I know you've heard this, everybody, bear with me a minute. You know, until I really dig into it, you know, maybe I've got a deal under my belt, maybe I've made some money. It's not that they need me to do it, but I just don't feel comfortable telling anybody about it. And you know, I really don't feel like, you know, I would be the right person to you know, and he went, you know, he said it sincerely, like he literally meant, you know, it wasn't like, hey, this is my excuse, although it is an excuse, right? We'll come up with any excuse, and I'll get to that in a minute too. But he goes, you know, he's really trying to define this thought process and explain it to me in a legitimate reason. And he's like, you know, I just can't imagine myself talking to people and telling them when I don't feel like it's honest that I've been able to tell them about this opportunity when it hasn't done anything for me yet. And I said, I understand what you're saying. I get it. You know, I can see exactly why you would feel that way, right? But I said, you know what you're doing is you're being selfish. I said, it's what I mean by you being selfish is it's all about you. You're concerned what you've done, where you are, about you and how they perceive you to be, and it has nothing to do with it. And you've heard me say this before, but I promise you folks, when you get this objection, this excuse, the people that you invite, and I'm talking about warm market, you know, if you get the naysayers from Craigslist or from wherever your cold market, I get it. They're going to be cynical and all that crap, and you're going to have to feed through that stuff and, you know, call me when you make money, you know, and all the sarcasm and crap like that. Whatever, put them aside. But I'm talking about real legitimate people that you care about, workers, you know, 3-foot rule that you kind of know, referrals, your family, your friends, and they're like, you know, have you done anything? You know, let me know when it works for you. You know, I'm going to watch you until you get it done. And it's legit. Like people think about it that way, right? But honestly, it's fear guiding that. We all know this, right? You guys are on this call. You're intelligent. You've been through the training. But here's what I said. I said, Ben, it's selfish. I said, I promise you, if somebody sees an opportunity, right? Like, and they don't give a crap what you've done. They don't care if you've made $10 or 10 million. What they care about is themselves, and will it work for them? And do they see themselves doing it? Like, think about this, you guys. Like, seriously think about this. The mega lottery, you watch it, right? and you're like, holy crap, I was driving down the road and the lottery said 350 million or 500 million or 700 million or whatever millions you want to use. And you tell your friends to go buy a ticket. You're like, I'm buying 10 tickets. I'm going to spend $100, my whole paycheck, whatever the hell it is. And they're going to go, oh, that's awesome. I'm not going to do that until you win the lottery and it works for you. Like, that's freaking retarded. Right? No one does that. They're like, holy crap, I didn't know it was 350 million. I'm going to go buy a ticket too. We never, ever, ever think that we're doing them harm. They're going to waste their freaking paycheck on lottery tickets. We all know they're not going to win, but we're willing to tell them about $350 million that they can win. It's the same thing. They don't care that we haven't won the lottery. They care that they have a chance to win the lottery. That's what they care about. They care about them winning the lottery. Like, oh, I'll give you a referral for 100,000 if I win 10 million. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But they're going to keep the lion's share, and they're going to say thank you, and for reminding them that the lottery's at 350 million bucks. You guys, like, it's not about us. It's not about what we've done. You have an opportunity given to you by Bob Snyder, the PAC, and Holly Snyder to make $10,000 or generate a $10,000 earning while you're getting 5-star and change someone's life, including your own. Like, it's a win-win-win, 5 wins. But we believe that since we haven't done anything, we haven't made any money, we haven't made a sale, we haven't joined a team, we haven't done a deal, right? That why would anybody take us serious? And it's a legitimate thought. If it wasn't, it would be easy and everybody be doing this and we wouldn't have this conversation. However, it's still an excuse. It's simply a natural human excuse mechanism that creates an ability for us to justify why we don't do the work, why we don't go out and speak to someone we care about and let them know what the heck we're doing and what the opportunity is that we believe in, right? This stuff works. And that's why number 2 is tell the story. When you tell stories, I'm going to tell you a story right now. A true, legitimate, good morning, Bill. I'm sorry I can't attend the meeting today, but I can call you later at 10 a.m. I have a few questions to ask if it's totally, not totally. Yeah, oh, shoot, that's private. Yeah, no worries. Cool. What was I going to say? I'm going to tell you a story, true story. And number 2 is tell the story. And so when we understand stories, my story, everybody's story in here, we know that will help us to overcome what we've done, right? Any of that feeling that we can't talk about, especially because we're going to get it from somebody. I mean, as soon as we tell our mother or brother or sister, they're going to be like, ow, you did this 15 times already. You haven't made any money. You're still sitting on the couch, whatever. And naturally we're going to feel that. But as you create intrigue, right? You don't remember, we're not just, I'm not going to get into this training right now. We'll do it next time and we get it covered a lot. But remember, we're not just telling somebody about what we love, right? I mean, that's your ignorance on fire. You go Thursday night, you go home, tell your wife, you're like, oh my God, we got to see this. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. We're doing this. It's $20,000. It's going to be amazing. We got that part, right? So there is that excitement. You just go out and tell your best friend about it, your colleague at work the next day because you just saw it or whatever, or you're just starting out for the first couple of weeks. But when we're seriously inviting people to this opportunity to see this information, we're not just telling them, right? Because when we tell them it's about us, it's our idea, it's not their idea, and they're not going to receive it quite as well, right? They're going to be a little bit standoffish, and they're going to be like, they're going to appease you by saying, yes, okay, I'm interested, but they're really not because it's not their idea. But when we created intrigue, and we've got them hooked, right, through velocity banking, making money in real estate, home business, whatever. Hey, have you ever thought about this? Yes. Or hey, I know that you love your children and you want to get out of that job. You hate your job. Whatever you're having that conversation is, and you create the intrigue. The minute we invite them and tell them, And they're like, I know, Bill, you've been thinking about this for a while, and, I'm going to wait and see what you're doing. I'm interested, but the timing's not right. I just, let me know how it's working for you. When you do your first deal, I'm interested to see how that goes. I don't really want to lose money or whatever they say, right? The minute you start to tell a story, and you understand, you agree with them on what they're saying, then you tell a story about someone making money that's similar to them. If it's a school teacher and you tell Chris Sullivan's story, if it's a blue collar worker and you tell Michael Huggins' story, whatever the case is, a kid out of college, young kid, old kid, Dr. Gary, retired, then you tell that story, loses everything in the stock market crash or the 2008 crash. The minute you tell a story and where they were, when they found Renatus and what's happened since then, it's great, right? Even little stories. So here's one for you. And when people say, why would I go to the intensive? It's all day, it's $40 or $50, $60, whatever it costs you or them. And so Mark recently joined Renatus under Dr. Gary. He's a full combo holder, him and his wife. It took him a while. I mean, literally Mark said to Gary, was ready to enroll. And then, they went to meet, and then Mark blew him off, and then he changed his mind, and then he just had cold feet. And then he finally, Gary followed up with him again, and he got started, him and his wife, and they're excited, but they're busy. He's very busy. He works a lot, just like everybody, right? So he comes to this intensive, and he comes up to me on the first break, and he says, "Hey, I don't know how this works." He's like, "But I don't want to step on any toes, but can I call you, or just even text you about a deal if I get one? I don't know how it works." I'm like, "Yeah, man. It's community. Whatever you need. If you got a real estate question, I'm busy. So if I miss your call, I'm like, text me again. And sometimes it gets buried. I just said my normal thing, and I'm like, yeah, man, whatever you need, Mark. It doesn't matter. We're all on the same team. Teamwork makes the dream work. You've heard that said before a few times. I bet somebody here in Arizona coins that phrase. She's known for it. She's awesome, and lives and breathes it. So I told him, absolutely. So he tells me immediately, he goes on to this deal. He's like, well, I got this realtor brought me this. Now, this is a true story, guys. This just happened Saturday. And he goes, I got this deal. He tells me a little bit about the deal and the possible rental and stuff like that. I go, did you make the offer? He's like, no. I was like, what are you waiting for? He's like, well, I don't know. He's like, I was talking to I wanted to make sure it was a good deal. And I said, it sounds like a good deal to me. I go, what's the worst case scenario? You're in an inspection period, you back out, whatever. I said, but tell your realtor right now on the break, go make an offer. You've already got the number in your head, make the offer. So sure enough, at lunchtime, he goes, Bill, I made the offer. And they're thinking about accepting my offer, but I need proof of funds. I go, I'll get you proof of funds. What do you need? He goes, I need a full proof of funds. I said, normally I could give it to you, but I need my computer to do it. I can't do it on my phone. I said, here's what I'm going to do. Do you have a hard money lender? I said, hard money lenders a lot of times will give you full price proof of offer contingent on a walkthrough or something like that. So it acts as, it works all the time as proof of funds. He goes, no, I don't have one. I said, boom. I said, call Mike. He's my best guy. I said, tell Mike what's going on. Tell him I referred you. He'll get you proof of funds. The next break after lunch, he gets proof of funds. He's under contract, and he's talking to someone in the community at the end of the day, the third break towards the end of the day, and he possibly already has the deal wholesaled in the community at the intensive. That is marketing. It's real estate done in real time, in a real story, in a real situation. Whether the freaking deal goes through or not, it's the network. Everybody on this phone and everybody at that intensive that I told that to should take away that piece and just start telling people that. Because that crap does not happen here's what happens. 3% in any other guru event across the country. 3% of people will be able to do that. Not 100% like we do here. Because they've got to have all the pieces of the puzzle themselves. They got to be ambitious. They got to be outgoing. They got to have experience, and they got to be that 3 out of 100 that can actually go to a networking event and network and do it the right way. right? Because they've done it before, they had a good coach or whatever the reason is, or it's just naturally in their ability to do it, and they're the 3%. The rest of us go to these events, we don't collect any information, we collect 2 or 3 cards, and we go home, and we never call anybody from them, and all we do is have a bunch of information. Not true here. You can take that story, and that's a marketing story. I've got a few minutes left. I don't see any other questions so far, so the one thing I'll finish with all this, man, I hope this is valuable, is I've got a couple on my team, for example, that are putting the pedal to the metal. And my whole team is, but this particular couple, I just happened to bring them up. But one thing that is if you can take away is that we naturally, and I do this all the time. I constantly think about it, right? It's instant gratification. We want the result. And when we put forth the effort, a lot of times we don't get the result we want. We get no shows, number one, right? We get the commitment on the phone and we get no shows. Then we get the show ups and then we don't get a follow up. They're kind of cold. They even leave the meeting early. They tell us they're going to come to the Saturday tour or the follow up event the next day or whatever the next, they're going to call, they're going to talk to you on the phone the next day and they ghost you. All right. We all have ghosts. We all have ghosts happen to us all the time. Even myself, I'm assuming, Michael, some of the leaders across the country, and we get discouraged, and that's just natural, especially in this business. We don't have an experience or enough experience to know that it's going to pay off later. So our doubt, our limiting beliefs, our fears, they come up, and they start.
Sorry, no, that was me.
They start to. Hey Lee, you're off mute.
You found it. Wonderful.
There we go. And so we allow that discouragement to kind of creep in there. And over a little bit of time, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, 6 months, 2 months, whatever it is, we begin to quit a little bit, right? And what we don't realize is what we're creating behind us. And you've heard me say this before. If you do anything in Renatus, never ever learn to quit Renatus. Whatever you're doing so far is powerful and is a learning step, and you are moving up the ladder and you don't even know it. The tidal wave you're creating behind you, the tsunami you're creating behind you is going to pay off. And when it does, when you get 5-star, all the people that didn't come and didn't follow through, didn't fund one-on-ones you did, they're still in your pipeline. They belong to you. And when they do fund, they don't pass up anymore. They go to you. And they're still interested because they were interested back then that the timing wasn't right. Whatever you're doing, this business takes, and here's the thing. People we compare ourselves. I do this all the time. We compare ourselves to other people and how well they've done in the beginning, right? A lot of people come out and they have great success, $100,000 in their first year, whatever the case is. Again, not typical. What's typical is what we get on the sheet that our lawyer, puts out for us and shares with us so we can share with the other people. That's typical, okay? The top 80%. But the numbers are still really good. And you don't have to be typical. You didn't sign up to be typical, like Mike says. You're not signing up to be average, right? You're signing up to be above average, and you're on this call because you are. So whatever discouragement you might experience in between these calls on Thursday nights, on Saturdays, whatever it is, with the one-on-ones you're having or the conversations you're having with people not showing up, the fear that you have and talking to them, the 3-foot rule, we've all done it, and we still do it. We still experience it. And one day, sooner than later, probably sooner than Michael and Scott and everybody else at the top right now, you will get there sooner because you're learning from what they're telling you. And they're sharing you and me, we're sharing with you the experiences we've gone through so you don't. And if you just keep the pedal to the metal and you keep having more and more people come to the events and you get more and more people in front of the information, most of the time, 50% of the time or more, the right person is 2-3 steps, 2-3 events. They find the funding. That might take a week or two, and they get funded, and you get compensated. Or you're 5-star, and you get to closer to 5-star. It happens with the right people, and your language will change. Your knowledge will change. Your ability to overcome objections will change, and you will improve, and you will get the results. This is a marathon, as you've always heard, not a sprint. I promise you, never, ever learn to quit this business, and it will be successful for you. You guys, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's Tuesday. Make it a great freaking day. You've got my number, 760-533-3141. That is my cell. If I don't get back to you right away, please forgive me. Call me again. Text me again so I am reminded. You're not bothering me. I will get to you if you ever want to. You're welcome, Rico. Awesome, you guys. Thanks for being on this call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending your morning with me. It's a long hour, so I greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I hope those stories helped. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Make it a great day. Go out there and invite somebody to Thursday. One way or the other, look in your phone and just call someone. They might be praying for you to call them, honestly. You got it, Mark. Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Rico. Thanks, Vanessa. You're welcome. Love you guys. Honestly, you guys are awesome. This is such a great call. I love being on this call. I'm honored and privileged that they asked me to do this. So I love doing it till they kick me off. So thanks, you guys. I'll go ahead and shut out the meeting. Make it a great day. Be good. See you next week. Have a good Memorial weekend. Don't let off the gas. Never learn to quit. You're welcome, Amazon. Thank you, guys.